Since 1938, a family with a love for the macabre has been making people laugh with a unique outlook on life. Created by cartoonist Charles Addams, his self-named family has an appealing quality to them, and it makes sense why new media featuring those characters continue to be produced. They existed primarily to comment on the notion of the ideal American family, and showed Charles Addams' incredible wit and imagination. The Addams Family originated as single-panel comics in The New Yorker. The humor came from how they loved what others were horrified by. Even though they did not have names yet, you got a sense of who the family was just by looking at Addams' drawings. You had the father, his wife clad in black, the daughter who gleefully put her brother in dangerous traps, the strange-looking uncle, the witch-like grandmother, and a butler who towered over everyone. Later on, a disembodied hand was added. Addams had a lot of fun with their spiderweb-filled mansion and how they interacted with anyone who visited. In one famous panel, the Addams family is shown pouring hot oil over Christmas carolers. The panels proved quite popular in the magazine, and in 1964, producer David Levy pitched an Addams Family sitcom for the ABC network. Charles Addams was asked to come up with names for the characters and to help the writers expand their personalities. Thus, Gomez and Morticia, the children Wednesday and Pugsley, Uncle Fester, Grandmama, Lurch, and Thing received their monikers. I actually had not watched an episode of the show until now, and honestly, this is a really funny and clever series. A large part of the humor comes from how friendly the Addams clan is. Despite their love of scary things and the disgust of the bright and sunny, they are often accommodating to their guests and excited to lend a helpful hand. The scripts written for the show had a lot of wittiness to them, and the perfectly cast actors played a major role too. John Astin is excellent as Gomez, portraying his eccentricities and his love for his wife Morticia. Carolyn Jones is also great as Morticia, and her and Astin come across as a healthy and loving couple. Former child star Jackie Coogan was cast as Fester, properly showing his fascination with electricity and explosions. A new character created for the series was Cousin It, who was covered in hair and spoke in gibberish. One of the most iconic parts of the series came from the theme song. Vic Mizzy wrote a really catchy song with a clever idea of setting it to finger snaps. It's one of those television show themes that you hear once and you'll never be able to get it out of your head. Even though you would think the Addams Family getting its own show would be good publicity for The New Yorker, the editor at the time had a snobby attitude about the whole thing, feeling the publication was above television, and stopped running the cartoons as a result. Around the same time it was running on ABC, CBS aired a similar program called The Munsters, which outperformed the Addams Family in the ratings, although in the end, both shows were cancelled after only 2 seasons. The Addams Family would not return to the screen again until 1972, when Hanna-Barbera acquired the animation rights. They appeared on an episode of the new Scooby-Doo movies, with a few actors from the ABC sitcom reprising their roles. This was followed shortly afterwards by an animated television series produced by Hanna-Barbera, in which the family went cross-country in a road trip. Maybe the most notable thing about this show was that a young Jodie Foster provided the voice of Pugsley. Around this time, ABC considered making a variety music show featuring the Addams Family, because it was the 70s and variety music shows were a regular television staple at the time. Titled The Addams Family Funhouse, a pilot was produced, and what's most curious is that the role of Pugsley was played by Butch Patrick, who had previously played Eddie Munster. Most of the original cast did return for a television special called Halloween with the new Addams Family. Airing on NBC in 1977, it featured a grown-up Wednesday and Pugsley, and Gomez and Morticia with 2 new children, cleverly named Wednesday Jr. and Pugsley Jr. The Addams Family stayed dormant for a while, until producer Scott Rudin had an idea in the late 80s to make a theatrical movie. Orion Pictures, which acquired Filmways, the owners of the television series, gave the go-ahead to make the movie, and Barry Sonnenfeld, who was a cinematographer for Rob Reiner and the Coen brothers, made his directing debut on the film. While it does not come across that way in the finished film, the Addams Family movie was a very troubled production. The movie lost 2 of its cinematographers, and Sonnenfeld was so stressed he was rushed to the hospital, causing a short delay in filming. Orion Pictures was also having financial difficulties at the time, and decided to sell the domestic rights to Paramount. Despite everything that happened behind the scenes, the movie proved quite the delight when completed and released in 1991. The actors were excellently chosen, with Raul Julia tapping into Gomez's suave side, and he was perfectly paired up with Angelica Houston as Morticia. The most genius casting in the movie came from Christina Ricci as Wednesday. Her deadpan delivery added to the hilarity of her lines, and I think she's the scene stealer. The production team helped the Addams home come to life, and they took advantage of the improved special effects technology, especially in regards to Thing. The classic theme song is used, but Mark Shaman's original score manages to capture the Addams spirit really well. The story of the movie involves Uncle Fester returning home, except it's actually a plot to steal the Addams fortune. Originally, even though this Fester was an imposter, the family still decided to accept him in the end. However, the cast hated this ending, and Ritchie eventually convinced Sonnenfeld to make him the real Fester. That was probably the right choice, and the Addams Family became one of the biggest hits of 1991. This unsurprisingly led to a sequel being produced titled Addams Family Values. This one branches off into a few subplots, with Fester falling in love with a serial killer, Wednesday being sent to a cheery summer camp, and a third Addams child being born. A lot of people actually found the sequel even better than the first, but I don't fall into that camp. There are a few amusing moments here and there, including a hilarious appearance from Nathan Lane as a policeman, but the humor does not hit as successfully for me, and it also feels like Gomez and Morticia get pushed to the side to make way for the other storylines. I think the first one was able to better divide time between the family members. However, I recognize I'm in the minority on that opinion. In between the release of the two movies, hanna-barbera decided to capitalize on the renewed interest in the characters and develop a new animated series. This was actually my introduction to the Addams Family, although it's been several years since I last saw it. Warner Brothers currently owns the rights to the 90s animated series, and have not made it an easy show to find. It's never been made available on DVD, and you cannot stream it anywhere, not even on YouTube, so I don't know if the show still holds up to my childhood nostalgia. From what I remember, it had a similar tone to the Beetlejuice cartoon, and they also made the great decision to have John Astin reprise his role as Gomez. It certainly deserves credit for turning me into a fan of the Addams Family, and made me want to watch the live-action movies. Back to the films, Addams Family Values was not nearly as successful at the box office as the first one, thus putting doubt on a third film being made. After Raul Julia's tragic death in 1994, Paramount and everyone involved decided not to make another one. Saban Entertainment eventually acquired the rights to make a new movie and television series. Addams Family Reunion was released as a direct-to-video movie in 1998, with Tim Curry as Gomez and Daryl Hannah as Morticia. The film attempts to utilize the familiar premise of the Addams Family interacting with normal society, but the jokes don't quite land. It's a very cheap, safe, and underwhelming production. Admittedly, Tim Curry is a lot of fun as Gomez, but then again, he's entertaining in everything. Nicole Fugere is also very good as Wednesday. Beyond them, the movie falters. Saban then produced the television show The New Addams Family, with Fugere as the only returning cast member. I actually used to watch the series quite regularly, and revisiting some episodes, it's an okay diversion. The acting is turned up to 11, but you can tell the cast is having fun. Astin also appeared on the show as Gomez's grandfather, resulting in a few meta jokes acknowledging this. However, a number of the scripts were recycled from the 60s show, including using the exact same jokes, which gave me a strange sense of déjà vu. The next major production to feature the characters was a stage musical, which premiered with tryouts in Chicago in 2009 before eventually arriving on Broadway the following year. Nathan Lane played Gomez, while Bebe Neuwirth was Morticia. I've seen a few clips and listened to some of the songs, and the show seems like a lot of fun. The opening number, When You're in Addams, is one I keep finding myself coming back to. After this, the Addams Family took another lengthy hiatus, although interest remained high in Hollywood. In 2010, it was announced Tim Burton would direct a stop-motion animated movie for Illumination Entertainment. He was going to reteam with Scott Alexander and Larry Karaszewski, the writers of Ed Wood, on the screenplay, and it could have been something special. For whatever reason, that film never got made. MGM, which acquired Orion Pictures in 1997, got back the film rights to the Addams Family and greenlit a computer-animated film. Directed by Conrad Vernon and Greg Tiernan, the movie sought to go back to the franchise's roots. Character designer Craig Kelman designed the family to look similar to the original comic panels, which surprisingly annoyed a lot of people, who were especially disappointed that Gomez looked nothing like Raul Julia. Yeah, that was an actual bizarre minor controversy that happened. The animated movie is also set in Westfield, New Jersey, a nod to Charles Addams' own hometown. I personally enjoyed the movie and how they depicted the family and their antics. We continue to have the theme of the Addams Family clashing with what is deemed normal society, and we see how they're more friendly and approachable than the suburbanites living nearby. There were enough funny moments and fun character interactions that I had an enjoyable time watching the movie. The film even ends with a recreation of the 60s television show intro, just one of a number of examples of the filmmakers doing their homework. I remember before it was released, I wondered whether the current generation of children were even aware of the Addams Family, due to them being away from the screen for so long, and whether they would care. However, those concerns were clearly unfounded, as the movie outperformed expectations and a sequel was immediately announced. In addition to the big screen, there will also be a new iteration of the Addams Family on smaller screens. Tim Burton will be directing a series for Netflix titled Wednesday. Jenna Ortega has been cast as Wednesday, and it will involve her solving mysteries at school. Luis Guzman will also be playing Gomez, and Catherine Zeta-Jones will be Morticia. And I'm definitely excited to see Burton put his own spin on characters who have unsurprisingly been major influences on his filmmaking career. With his comic panels, Charles Addams hit upon a clever twist on the American family, and it says something that after 80 years, we're still interested in that creepy and kooky, mysterious and spooky, altogether ooky Addams family.